I'm Captain Basch. Wait, no, not me. This is Captain Basch. I was just merely quoting one of my favorite lines associated with him. One may wonder, who is Captain Basch von Ronsenberg? How does a captain of a great army of soldiers become a sudden traitor to his own people? Where does his true loyalties lie? But the real question is that truly his real name? Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Preludes of Ivalice, a series where we take a look at the details of characters, events, and locations that occurred before the events of Final Fantasy XII. The purpose of this series is to discover the origins and backstories of some of the characters and other elements of Final Fantasy XII and how they contribute to the current events of the game. Well, we will have all these questions answered and more in today's video as we take a closer look at the captain of Dalmasca, Basch von Ronsenberg. Basch is a major character in Ivalice during the events of Final Fantasy XII, being one of the main party members that embarks on the journey to defeat the Empire and restore peace to Ivalice. He is wholly devoted to protecting Ashe as she seeks her birthright as the descendant of King Wraithwall in order to unite the peoples of Ivalice under one banner. I know, this can all be a bit confusing, but I will make videos covering more of these topics, so be sure to subscribe to the channel if you wish to see more content. Despite people constantly calling for him to be punished for betraying the kingdom he once served and those he allegedly killed, Basch maintains his innocence, even having to travel with one of them, a rather young and immature boy by the name of Vaughn who claims Basch killed his brother during the war, but eventually forgives and even befriends him when realizing how utterly wrong he was. Basch was born 36 years before the events of Final Fantasy XII, as a twin brother. In fact, he is the older of the twins, the other being Noah von Ronsenberg. I guess that really is their real name. They grew up beside each other along with their mother, who was suffering from an illness. One day, Landis was attacked by the Arcadian Empire as part of their campaign to expand their influence as a countermeasure to the growing influence of their neighboring rival kingdom of Rosaria. While Noah elected to stay with their ailing mother and protect their homeland, Basch decided to leave, seeking power before returning to fight the Arcadian Empire and reclaim their homeland. This act infuriated Noah and served as the root cause for the grudgeful hatred he has harbored towards his older brother, which we see during the events of the game. Eventually, Basch finds himself in the ranks of the Dalmascan army. Well, he actually enlists in the army in order to exact revenge against the Arcadian Empire. After seeing them caught in the center of the rivalry between Arcadis and Rosaria, the smaller kingdoms of Nabradia and Dalmasca had forged an alliance through the marriage of Lady Ashe and Prince Rassler. Basch joined the army and rose through the ranks until he eventually became captain of the Dalmascan army and protector to Lord Rassler and Lady Ashe. It is detailed in the manga version of the game that Basch and Vossler fought in a war against the Urutan Yensa 10 years ago. It is unknown why, but it could have likely been due to a rebellion from the Yensa themselves, since they probably got tired of living in the sand water and they wanted to try out human civilization and their food and their probably more luxurious lifestyle. Kidding. Regardless, this war occurred. Some short time before the events of the Arcadian-Nabradian War and the marriage of Ashe and Rassler, Basch was involved in an attempt to foil a plan by the Neo-Rosarian faction, a group of Rosarian loyalists whose goal was to force Nabradia and Dalmasca to pledge their allegiance to Rosaria instead of forming their own alliance in the wake of the impending war against Arcadis, and had conspired to assassinate King Raminas in order to achieve this goal. With the help of Rassler, Basch, and the Knights of Dalmasca, this plan was foiled and the poor Marks were arrested, and the marriage continued as planned. Basch was present in the conflicts between the Arcadian Empire and the Dalmascan Kingdom, leading the defense of Nabina Fortress alongside Prince Rassler. In a little-known fact, Judges Bergen and Drace were also present in this battle, likely commanding the attacking Arcadian forces through the fortress. In fact, during this battle, Drace speaks with Basch almost as if she is aware of who he is, recognizing his combat skills, but a rather different technique of sword fighting. Basch, unsure of what Drace was going on about, retreats when he finds his troops were being overwhelmed outside of the fortress and continues the battle inside. Inside the fortress, Basch continues to command the forces alongside Rassler until he is wounded in combat by an Imperial archer. He is then rushed to safety by the captain, but succumbs to his wounds. It was around this time that Nalbina was overrun by the Imperial army and were planning to force the Dalmascans into an unfair peace treaty. In a final attempt to prevent the king from suffering to the filthy medieval stormtroopers' terms, Basch leads a small group of Dalmascan soldiers, among them Rex, who may seem familiar to all of you, to the throne room. Fighting through the ranks of the medieval stormtroopers, Basch eventually makes his way to the throne room, while Rex stays behind to fight off the remainder of the Arcadian soldiers. When he arrives to the throne room, he is suddenly stabbed by his captain after seeing his fellow soldiers, along with Arcadian troops, as well as King Raminas himself, dead in the room. In his justification, the apparent Basch explains how the king planned all along to sell Dalmasca to the Empire and was better to be killed off as a traitor than allow it to happen. He was then arrested by Vane and branded a traitor of Dalmasca and had the supposed captain detained. In reality, this plan was a mere farce concocted by Vane and Gabranth, the name bestowed to Noah when he joined the ranks of the medieval stormtroopers after Basch had left him and his mother, while the real Basch was already arrested and detained before Rex even entered the room. While Basch was announced executed by the Empire out of charges of high treason and the murder of Raminas, he was in reality held prisoner in Nalbina dungeons in order to ensure Bajirba's loyalty to the Empire, with the Marquis Undor announcing both Basch and Ash's deaths, setting up the events of Final Fantasy XII. And that ends the backstory of Basch before the events of Final Fantasy XII. Going through his backstory, I did have a thought. How come Vane and Gabranth had to stage the arrest of Basch when they could have killed everyone in that room and simply fabricated the story of Basch killing the king while secretly arresting him? This event was witnessed by a man who died of his wounds, so he wouldn't have had the opportunity to tell anyone that Basch had betrayed his own kingdom. Regardless, let me know what you think of Basch as a character in the story. Where does he rank in your favorite characters? Are there any details about Basch I may have missed? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know what other characters, locations, or even events that you want me to cover in Final Fantasy XII. Also, consider subscribing if you want to see more Final Fantasy related content. Other than that, this is Enzo signing out, and I will see you all soon.